Hello, welcome to Paper Daisy Journals. It's Kylie. This video is, I guess, like a show and tell of a pink inspiration bundle that I recently made. And the intention behind these bundles is for you to use it to make a simple single signature shabby chic style junk journal or keepsake journal, because these are essentially the things that I sort of use when I make one. So I've kind of put it together with that idea in mind. I decided to do this video because it's a little bit easier to explain all the parts and what the purpose of them is, rather than just having some photos in an Etsy listing or on Instagram. So this was a pink sort of bundle with a bit of a mauve theme, and I've just realized that the jumper I'm wearing, because it's winter here in Australia, is color coordinated. So there you go, it's all beautifully mauvey, pinks and pretty today. If nothing else, this is a visual feast for your eyes if you are a shabby chicer. So either mindless entertainment or something of interest. So I'm just going to go through each part. I tend to go through my collection of things, fabrics, trims, appliques, etc., and I pull out things that sort of work together, obviously including my wardrobe. And I tend to create something based on that bundle of gorgeousness. So this envelope that I'm going to start with, because it was simply on the top, is actually a piece of fabric that I had torn because I made 4 bundles. So I've torn everything into 4 sort of equal parts, and this was sort of left over. So I've hand stitched down the side to create a little envelope, and inside I have tucked 2 clusters, I guess. This one I actually stuck one of these little rosebuds there, but the other 3 I left that off because I felt that it kind of squished the rose in the center a bit. But it has a few layers hand stitched together, and this one again has a few layers sort of hand stitched together with a little pearl blossom on the top. And across here I have a piece of a snippet roll that I've stitched on with a crocheted blossom and a button. So that's what was in that little envelope. This tag, I have collaged 2 different types of wallpaper. I've stuck a wax seal, I have machine stitched around the edge, and then hand stitched the silk ribbon on the top as the tag topper. And just to cover some of that messiness, I've put some antique French letter on the back there. So that's one of the tags. Each bundle or each set of bundles that I make may have different ephemera in it, but there will be ephemera, fabrics and papers. So this is a little tag pocket, and I've hand stitched that onto some linen paper with a velvet topper, and this is a beautiful antique leaf charm. That's antique glass, so it's pressed glass, with a piece of lace there hand stitched in as well. And this is a fabric tag that I have machine stitched on, and then put a little applique and piece of lace at the top. So you can put this tag in this tag pocket, or you can have it elsewhere in your journal. This is another fabric floating pocket, I guess. So I've hand stitched this onto avocado dyed paper, and I have some distressed seam binding as a bow at the top, a little fussy cut butterfly on the edge, and that fabric I've used throughout this kit. That is a piece of crocheted tablecloth that I avocado dyed with a little vintage button and some hand-torn fabric stitched onto the top, and that's a card sort of luggage tag. So that's another piece of ephemera in this bundle. The next piece of ephemera I'll do is this tag. So this is a button that I've sewn on the top with some crocheted tablecloth on beautiful handmade paper, and I have a little ruffle of vintage fabric and some trim just stuck glued onto the bottom there. So that is another tag. Then this envelope is made of wallpaper. It was inspired by my wonderful friend Emily from Blue Linen Cottage. And I've used a piece of lace that I've wrapped all the way around. With this, I've just tucked in one of my printable antique fashion printables in the back because it's kind of nice to turn things over and get a little surprise. So that's sort of, I'll just tuck that up the top there, but you can definitely use that to make some ephemera in the journal. So that's what the back looks like. You can see I've hand stitched because I find machine stitching vintage wallpaper, because this is vintage wallpaper, it tends to make it quite brittle, but I've wrapped the lace all the way around. In the bow at the front I've tucked a little velvet flower which tied in beautifully with this bundle. And then this is just sari silk that I have used. I've tucked it in one of the hand stitches there, so there's no fancy sort of closure. But the lace, I love that it sort of sits beyond the edge of the envelope. And inside here, I've just tucked a few smaller pieces of ephemera, a library catalogue card, a playing card, a floral playing card, some Edith Holden style playing cards, and two little, I think this is actually a bonded tea card and this is a Will's cigarette card. So I've chosen the blossoms to match in with the rest of the bundle, and this just gets tied back up into a bow, and I slip the flower inside there so it's nice and pretty. Of course, this flower can actually be stitched on the cover of your journal, so anything that can sort of be taken off can be used to decorate your journal. This is I guess like a sample of all the different laces and fabrics that you could use to make pockets, tuck spots, or more ephemera. This is a beautiful velvet flower. It does have an iron-on backing, so you can iron that on, but it would probably be better to be stitched onto something. So I have literally stitched all of this together through that applique, so you just simply snip that carefully and all of this will sort of fall apart. This is designed to be glued to the top of a pocket to decorate it, and this as well. So this has some sari silk fabric and lace hand stitched along, so you can stick that to the top of a pocket, make it a belly band as well, or you could actually pull it apart if you wanted to use the different elements for different things. That's a piece of broderie lace to be used as a pocket. This is a piece of that fabric that can be used as a pocket or for ephemera. Beautiful Swiss lace, again for decorating the journal. Some avocado dyed lace there as well, and this is more of that avocado dyed tablecloth, vintage tablecloth. So some of the fabrics obviously have been repeated throughout the kit, which gives the whole bundle some cohesion and coordination, I guess. And that's just my style as well. I like things to match in and to flow. I find it quite soothing as a style. So that's some more beautiful vintage fabric there. So that is the fabric aspect. Now this part here, I have wrapped around 2 ruffles. So there's some vintage Swiss dot that I've ruffled on the sewing machine there. That can be used as a page ruffle, and there'd be a little snippet left over, maybe for a tag or a corner, or you could use it as a ruffle on top of some pockets. This is some Liberty Lawn fabric, and again can be used as a ruffle down the side of the page, and you have a little bit left over for the top of a pocket or some ephemera. It has a little pretty yellow butterfly, but beautiful pink carnations that went in well with the rest of the kit. Here pinned to this, I have 3 handmade bead dangles that you can dangle from the side like a tab from the journal. And under here I have stitched this all together, but these are sort of little tabs that you can use in your journal, so you can just snip the stitching off, and there's sort of 3 tabs, I guess, for the 3 beaded dangles there, and that's a Tim Holtz thingy, whatever they're called. So now this is intended, these 2 pieces here are intended to be the journal cover, I guess. So there's a beautiful piece of vintage linen here that I have avocado dyed, and it's sort of, I guess, almost the size of an A5 journal going this way, but there's extra at the top and the bottom that you could either fold over if you wanted to make little tuck spots on the inside cover, which is something I just thought of then, and I may do myself, which is quite clever. And then this beautiful fabric here is obviously double-sided and pinned at the top here. I've sort of included that to be used as the journal lining, because the idea is you would use some of these elements here to maybe decorate the outside of the journal. Even that would look quite gorgeous on the outside. You could even do 2 smaller journals if you wanted to. So yeah, that was the idea, but you of course could use this beautiful fabric as the outside of the journal and have this sort of hanging out as the lining of the journal underneath. So that is the idea of that part, or that fabric. So I'll just pop that there. And then we have the papers that I've included in this journal. So I've included a printed page on linen of my Rose Garden printable kit, because the colours tied in beautifully, and I've backed that with some ledger and lace. I've also included some Locta paper, which has a beautiful texture and pattern, very floral. A piece of vintage book from Pride and Prejudice. Some vintage French diary with gorgeous purple fountain pen writing. This is typed ledger from France. It is a maritime manual, and that's it actually feels really nice. It also has the holes pre-punched because it came out of a manual folder. A piece of ledger from the US. And this was actually from a county courthouse. And this is a piece of beautiful old French music book. I've also included 2 pages of avocado dyed paper because not everyone does that or has access to that. And I've also included, and that's the back of the printable page, I've included a piece of French ledger there with a gorgeous, the original stamp. And this is a piece of ledger from the US from a grocery store. So you can sort of see what they purchased in the late 1800s. And I folded those because they didn't quite fit the size, but I didn't want to tear off the ends. Some of the ledger I have actually torn because they were really large pieces. So they are the pages to go into your Shabby Chic junk journal. So you sort of have all the things that you need here to make yourself a journal. Everything's beautifully tied and not tied. It is very tied together. Very, very much so. But everything you need to sort of make your own Shabby Chic junk journal. So that's sort of why I have created these current batch of inspiration bundles, and the ones that I make going into the future will be very, very similar to these. So I just thought I'd give you a little show and tell so you could see what it was all about. Thanks for watching. Bye.